All right, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all for joining us this evening. Jody, could you call the roll, please?
Dennis,
Here.
Harold,
Here.
Hollenbaugh,
Here.
Phipps,
Here.
Robinette,
Here.
Rabando.
Here.
Okay, the minutes from our meeting on October 2nd were distributed for your perusal prior to this evening. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. That brings us to correspondence. Jody, do we have any correspondence?
We do. The financial budget summary report for the month of September 2023 was received and distributed to council prior to this evening's meeting and is noted for the record. Also, the mayor is requesting confirmation of a reappointment to the Transportation Advisory Committee for Connie Weaver to serve through May 31st, 2026, and an appointment to the Human Relations Commission for Vanessa Espinoza through May 31st, 2024. These appointments are effective immediately.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold,
I move that we approve the appointments as directed by the mayor.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you very much to our volunteers. We're going to go on to lobby visitation right now. Jody, do we have anyone signed up for lobby visitation?
We do. Leatra Harper.
If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
729 Pine Valley Drive. It is unfortunate that I have to be here in City Council today to tell you we are suing the City of Bowling Green with a takings lawsuit because of Rider E that penalized our rooftop solar and degraded our large investment to replace gas with geothermal for heating and air conditioning, as well as install 3 batteries at our home in accordance with our long-term goal to achieve near net zero living during the days of climate change. It was a shock to read the letter that told us our clean energy system would be taxed. We immediately emailed Neocles because we knew he would fight against us like he did the Prairie State contract. Neocles died that day. My mother was in the next room with hospice, and she died 8 days later. Life is very stressful, and the stress of Rider E has never ended. As we told the mayor and utilities director in the one meeting that was afforded, if we would have had any idea that Bowling Green would discourage rooftop solar, we would not have moved here, let alone have made such a huge investment in what we thought was going to be our forever home to age in. The one meeting, along with all the records we have received, has yet to answer our direct question. Please explain how the allegation that we are costing our less affluent neighbors with our clean energy could be true, especially during the hottest of days when it's needed the most. We suspect this was a thinly veiled attempt to turn others against us. This is a narrative that is being promoted by the fossil fuel industry as well. Our rooftop solar becomes increasingly economical and people want to take advantage of government incentives to create their own clean energy. There is an increasing movement by the fossil fuel industry to discourage individual generation of clean energy. As one expert told me, the industry wants to own all the electrons, not just the grid. At a time when Bowling Green as a municipal utility could actually be doing something itself to help its less affluent neighbors by promoting community solar and taking advantage of government incentives, it has done the one thing no one could imagine the city would do, discourage solar. What is the reason behind this? It's not grid cost has been asserted because if so, the utility scale solar installations would be the biggest culprit. Instead, Bowling Green seems to be bowing to AMP, as it did with the disastrous Prairie State 50-year take-or-pay contract, as well as a big utility interest with our rates paying for lobbyists who are working against energy democracy and individual generation of clean energy. When we first took on the fracking industry as a family while living in Southeast Ohio, we quickly realized it was not as dirty, harmful, and destructive as we thought it would be at first. We found out it was much worse than we could have imagined. As a small nonprofit, we have witnessed the cumulative impacts to air and water because of fracking, which really made us want to get off the gas. Keep in mind that we have to pay for everything up front, depending upon the calculated payback based on the existing policy and not Rider E, implemented after the fact. But utility-scale solar construction costs can be recouped in our rates. No ratepayer paid for our installation. We had to save a long time to do so. I apologize, I didn't know it was too much. I'm almost done. Is that okay?
No,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Thank you. We don't want rebates from City Council for the solar penalty, and we certainly don't want the city to pay to hire outside attorneys and experts to justify Rider E. We have experts as well, and depending on what you want to prove, you can make assertions based upon assumptions. We want the truth and not false claims that appear designed to turn others against us. Unfortunately, the only avenue left to us to pursue what is fair and just is the legal system. We are just as lawsuit averse as you, but we are left with no option. With 2023 on track to be the hottest on record and the increasing impacts of climate change no longer able to be denied, we must do what it takes to create a better future for our children. Right now, as a municipal utility, Bowling Green could create a community solar program to take advantage of all the rental rooftops and encourage residents to take advantage of government incentives for solar. Instead, the city has chosen to go in the exact opposite direction in which we all need to go. This is very unfortunate. We don't have time for all the research we've done, and we wonder if City Council has even read our emails with facts since we had never received a response. But we will keep educating ourselves and others to share what we know and what other states and municipalities like Ann Arbor are doing to encourage rooftop solar deployment, which is shown to increase property values, but not in Bowling Green. Instead, BG has penalized rooftop solar, and we cannot understand why. Is the city afraid of not using the required coal-fired energy from Prairie State? We can't think of any reason why any city would implement Rider E with increasing disasters due to climate change. Unfortunately, the courts will decide for the best and not just the appointed members of the utility board working with AMP, which has no oversight. For the sake of energy democracy and truth, City Council should do much more to exercise oversight, demand that Rider E be rescinded, and work with us to develop policies that will encourage rather than discourage community solar. Thank you for the time. We pay taxes here. We'd like some representation ourselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
That's everyone.
Okay. All right.
Mark. Mark,
What?
we are ready.
We are ready. Okay, we are now backing up to special recognitions.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of council. Tonight, we are here to celebrate the promotion of two of our leaders in the police division, Sergeant Caleb Kuzmarek and Sergeant Ryan Salhorst. First, a little bit about each one of them. Sergeant Kuzmarek has been an officer with the police division since August of 2013. He serves as a team leader on the Wood County Special Response Team, a division trainer in defensive tactics, firearms, and officer safety. He is a U.S. Army veteran, having served tours in Iraq. Also tonight, we have Sergeant Ryan Salhorst. Ryan has been an officer with the police division since August of 2016. He has served as a field training officer, firearms instructor, and supervisor of the police division drone program. He has served previously with the Ottawa, Ohio Police Department. So now I would turn it over to the mayor for the swearing in of Officer Kuzmarek first.
Thank you. Thank you.
raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Caleb Kazmir,
I, Caleb Kushmer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States of America,
and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and
of
ordinances
the City of Bowling Green.
of the City of Bowling Green.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the officer of police sergeant
of the officer of police sergeant
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, officer. All right, Ryan, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ryan Selhorst,
I, Ryan Selhorst,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States of America
and the laws of the United States of America
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and
of
laws
the State of Ohio
of the State of Ohio
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the City of Bowling Green.
of the City of Bowling Green.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police sergeant
of the office of police sergeant
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you both for your service. Okay. That brings us to the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
from the Finance Committee, I have an ordinance declaring the improvement of certain parcels of real estate, of real property to be a public purpose, declaring such property be exempt from real property taxation, designating specific public infrastructure improvements that, once made, will directly benefit the parcels for which the improvement is declared to be a public purpose, requiring annual service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund, and providing related authorizations pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 5709.40B, 5709.42, 5709.43, 5709.82, 5709.83, and 5709.85.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps.
from the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee, I have two ordinances. The first is an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the city of Bowling Green for approximately 1.57 acres on South Dunbridge, parcel number B07-511-28000000020002 from A1 agricultural to IE innovation and employment zoning. The second ordinance amends and adopts sections of Chapter 150 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning the zoning code.
Mr. President,
Mr. Dennis.
from the Community Improvement Committee, I have four ordinances. The first, an ordinance amending and adopting Section 70.40 C1G, C2, and C4 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green regarding inoperable vehicles. The second, an ordinance amending and adopting Section 99.20A of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning noxious weeds, duty to cut. The third, an ordinance creating and adopting Section 99.21 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning managed natural landscape. And the fourth, an ordinance creating and adopting Chapter 159 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning exterior property maintenance.
Okay. And from the Public Utilities Committee, I have an ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into construction contracts for the Village Water Main Improvements Project and declaring an emergency. Thank you. righty, so that brings us to official reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, council. This evening, it really is my pleasure to have with us members of our fire division. Good-looking men sitting in the back of the room provide great service to our community on a daily basis, and I'm particularly pleased this evening to welcome Brandon Westerman, lieutenant in the division. He's going to provide some detail for you, recognizing what I believe is a really significant achievement that the department was able to complete once again this year. So you may in the past remember us sharing with you details of an award that the division named. It was the Mission Lifeline Award. The department won this award in 2020, 21, 22, and again in 23. It's been renamed this year. Brandon, I'm sure that Lieutenant Westerman will provide some detail, but generally this award is in recognition of the division's efforts to comply with American Heart Association recommendations for response associated with cardiac arrest events. And it's a really significant award. It takes a good deal of time and effort and compliance to policies and procedures. And I also think it speaks highly of the skill and dedication of the members of our fire division. So at this time, I'd like to ask Brandon Westerman to approach the microphone and share some details. Thank you, Brandon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lieutenant Westerman, B shift on the fire division. I wanted to come in tonight. Thank you, Mayor, for the invitation to talk to you about the Mission Lifeline Award. As the Mayor said, this is now the 4th year in a row we've received the award. The first year we received the silver level award, which was the highest level you could receive as a first year recipient. And each year since then, we've received the Gold Plus Award, which was renamed this year as the Gold Award with Target Heart Attack criteria. So what the Mission Lifeline program does this year, each year they've added new criteria to the award to make it more thorough. The first year we did it, there was 4 criteria, and this year we completed 9 different criteria in relation to strokes and heart disease. Those 2 are the number 1 and number 5 killer of medical emergencies in our country. So the American Heart really sets the bar high on what they want us to achieve as first responders in the field responding to these emergencies. What we do is provide the initial evaluation on scene of the patients and then judge by their condition where they need to go as far as a receiving facility to receive the best care possible. And then we need to do that in a specific timeline to allow for the receiving facilities to give the best treatments. This year they added some criteria on strokes in there, so that was the first year for that. We were kind of nervous because we hadn't tracked this, but our paramedics did excellent. I want to say this is not my award. This is the entire fire division. This is the paramedics that are on the field every day doing this. I just compiled the data for it, so I will not take the kudos for this one myself. As far as strokes go, some of the things they look for in the criteria is a notification to the receiving facility within 10 minutes that we identify a potential stroke that we're bringing that patient to them. That allows them to get their providers ready. They also want us to document the last known well time of the patient. So the last time they saw them acting normally, because that really sets the guidelines on what treatment they can give as far as medications or surgical procedures to relieve that stroke. They also want us to make sure we get a blood glucose, make sure this isn't a diabetic emergency that might simulate some of the same symptoms as a stroke. And then we perform a stroke screening, like having the patient smile, checking bilateral, their both hands functions, looking for different things of that nature to identify what may be or may not be signs of a stroke. So with those 4 criteria, that gives us a good heads up to the facilities. And then we have St. Vincent's or Toledo Hospital are both receiving stroke facilities to provide comprehensive care there, including surgical interventions that are kind of new and upcoming to treat some of those. As far as heart disease goes, the biggest criteria for us is that when we receive a call for somebody having chest pain or any kind of symptoms of a heart attack, that we do a 12-lead EKG in the field within the first 10 minutes of laying eyes on that patient. So it's to quickly identify what the heart is doing at that time, and there's certain things we can find to identify if it's a heart attack, an acute event. Once we receive that, we have 10 minutes to notify the receiving facility that we're coming with a patient possibly having a heart attack. That also allows them to prepare their cath lab and their providers there to get that patient into surgery right away. We are also to administer aspirin to patients. It's a quick blood thinner to help them along in that, and we document that. The final two criteria, which actually gets us the Target Heart Attack Award, are that we take that patient to a receiving facility and they actually receive treatment. They call it a door-to-balloon time, or they're in the cardiac cath lab having that artery open back up within 90 minutes from the time we lay eyes on them until they're into the hospital and have been treated for that condition. Last year, we had 4 different patients, and all 4 of them made it within a 90-minute window to Toledo to receive that intervention. The last criteria is also for patients that receive thrombolytic or a medication to open up those arteries again, and that they receive that within 30 minutes of getting to the hospital, as we've notified them in time. So again, for each of those awards, we have to comply in 75% of the patients we see to receive the Gold Plus Award, and we have to continue to do that year after year to stay at that level. So the ladies and gentlemen over at the Fire Division are doing a great job there, and we appreciate your time and hearing about our award.
Thank you very much.
Lieutenant, thank you. When we, I think, consider what our most basic responsibilities to our citizens as a local government are, I think all of us would agree that this police and fire protection are at the very top of that list. And so I know you share my pride in our fire division, and I just want to say thank you all very much for the work that you do and the service you provide to our community. Concludes my report, subject to any questions that you may have.
Mr. Harold.
I want to commend you, Mayor Ausbacher, for continuing the tradition of emphasizing the safety forces. And I also want to commend the police and fire chief for doing that as well. You certainly, I echo what you said about the priority of it. And we have heard on numerous occasions that we do have certified police and fire. That is not a common thing. And so I would hope citizens realize that this is one of the pearls of Bowling Green, that we have really good safety forces that continue to do better. And so thank you, Mayor, for continuing that.
Just for clarification, when you say certified, you're not wrong, but it's nationally accredited.
Yes, thank you.
And we are one of the very few communities that have nationally accredited police and fire divisions. And again, that's a great source of pride to me personally, and it should be to our community as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the mayor? All right. Thank you very much. Municipal Administrator, Ms. Treader.
All right, good evening, Council. As a reminder, we will be finally cutting the ribbon on this building on October 26th at 2 p.m. We were excited this week to be able to open our parking lot and have full access to this building. So we hope you can join us. This evening, I have invited our HR director, Barbara Ford. Barb, if you'd wave back here. Barb's in the back row. She is joining us this evening. And the reason is that at the end of this month, after nearly 40 years of service to the city of Bowling Green, Barbara Ford is going to be retiring. And Barb has been a tremendous asset for this organization. There's a lot involved with HR, as we all know, and it spans everything from compliance to legalities, to safety, logistics for the employees, but Barb has taken her work well beyond that. She has been a true advocate for our employees, as anybody who's ever navigated, for example, a benefit system, an insurance system, can be challenging. And Barb has worked tirelessly with our employees to help them through some of the most difficult situations they've encountered. She also has been a very long-term member. She's been HR director, I should note, since 1994. So in that role, she had come through the organization, served in some other offices, a long time in the HR department before assuming the director's role in 1994. So since that time, she's been a member of the city's executive staff, and in that role, she has helped to shape the organization, has worked with all sorts of challenges, celebrations, opportunities. We respect Barb for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest ones is that she is a great problem solver. She's somebody who can look at problems from a lot of different angles, and that makes her a very valuable person to have around. We will not be able to replace that knowledge of the organization. And in November, we will look forward to introducing you to our new HR director, Michelle Ish, who is starting and working with Barb right now. But we'll save that for November because tonight really is about Barb and thanking her for her tremendous service to the City of Bowling Green organization, which translates into all of us being able to do our jobs and perform at the high level of competence that this organization achieves. So Barbara, thank you so very, very much for all of your outstanding decades of service. It is truly been an honor to work with you, and we all just thank you very, very much for all you've done. Thank you. And we will celebrate Barb on October 25th from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. here in the council chamber with an open house, and anyone is welcome to stop by and thank her for her outstanding service. So that completes my report this evening, subject to your questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Tretter this evening?
Lori, when did you first start, Barbara?
When did I first start?
Yeah.
Summer of '83 as an intern, graduate intern, John Fawcett.
Summer of 1983.
And I came back in April of '84 as a temporary, full-time council intern.
Temporary.
Temporary, but it was full-time. And then I went full-time January of '85.
I love that word temporary after 40 years. Any other questions for Ms. Tretter? All right. Well, thank you very much, Barb, for all of your service to the city, and good luck in whatever you choose to fill your time with here on. So that brings us to the city attorney, Mr. Brown.
I also just wanted to say thank you and congratulations to Barb. You know you've helped me quite a bit over the past couple of years, and I appreciate that, so thank you. Other than that, no report.
Are there any questions for Mr. Brown this evening? Okay. Public Infrastructure Director, Mr. O'Connell.
No report unless you have questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. O'Connell this evening? Okay. Council committee reports.
Mr. President.
Mr. Robinette.
The Finance Committee met this evening. Prior to this meeting, we received the third quarter financial update from the Finance Director. There were no issues or concerns presented.
All righty. Well, that brings us to the reading of legislation. Jody?
Legislation for first reading. Ordinance number 9136 for first reading. Ordinance declaring the improvement of certain parcels of real property to be a public purpose, declaring such property to be exempt from real property taxation, designating specific public infrastructure improvements that, once made, will directly benefit the parcels for which improvement is declared to be a public purpose, requiring annual service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund, and providing related authorizations pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 5709.40B, 5709.42, 5709.43, 5709.82, 5709.83, and 5709.85. Ordinance number 9137 for first reading. Ordinance amending the zoning district map of the city of Bowling Green for approximately 1.57 acres on South Dunbridge Road, parcel number B07-511-280000020002 from A1 agricultural to IE innovation and employment zoning.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps.
we need to set the required public hearing on this ordinance for Monday, November 20th at 6:30.
Okay.
Ordinance number 9138 for first reading. Ordinance amending and adopting sections of Chapter 50 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio concerning zoning code.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps.
we need to set a public hearing for this one too. That public hearing will be Monday, November 20th at 6:45.
All righty.
Ordinance number 9139 for first reading. Ordinance amending and adopting section 70.40 C1G, C2, and C4 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green regarding inoperable vehicles. Ordinance number 9140 for first reading. Ordinance amending and adopting section 99.20A of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning noxious weeds, duty to cut. Ordinance number 9141 for first reading. Ordinance creating and adopting section 99.21 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning managed natural landscape. Ordinance number 9142 for first reading. Ordinance creating and adopting Chapter 159 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning exterior property maintenance. Ordinance number 9143 for first reading. Ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into construction contracts for the Village Water Main Improvements Project and declaring an emergency.
I move to suspend the rules and give ordinance 9143 its second and third readings.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Rabando?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Okay, the rules are suspended for ordinance 9143.
Ordinance number 9143 for second and third readings. Ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into construction contracts for the Village Water Main Improvements Project and declaring an emergency.
I would make a motion to adopt the emergency clause for ordinance 9143.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? The reason for the emergency clause is a timing issue, as was explained in the email we received earlier today. Jody?
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Rabando?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause has been adopted for ordinance 9143. I would now like to move to adopt ordinance 9143.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, Jody?
Phipps?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Rabando?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes, ordinance 9143 is adopted.
Legislation for second reading. Resolution 3857 for second reading. Resolution authorizing the sale of obsolete or unfit municipally owned personal property which is not needed for public use by internet auction and authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into a contract with GovDeals, Inc. for ongoing internet auctions for the calendar year 2024. Resolution number 3858 for second reading. Resolution authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into a renewal of the agreement with the Wood County Public Defender. Ordinance number 9131 for second reading. Ordinance amending Chapter 35 Finances of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio to enact and adopt a new section refining the process for determination of the lowest and best bid on public improvement projects subject to Ohio Revised Code, ORC, Section 4115.
Mr. President.
Mr. Robinette.
I move to refer ordinance 9131 to the Finance Committee with instructions to hold a hearing to learn why the ordinance is necessary. That is, what gaps or problems exist in our current code, how the ordinance fills the gaps or solves the problem, how the ordinance impacts the city and its operations, and if there are any conflicts with state law. At a minimum, the committee should invite the ordinance's author, the city administrator, the director of public infrastructure or their designees, and the city attorney to testify. The committee should report back with a recommendation to the full council at the first city council meeting after the committee completes its work.
Second.
It's properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, Jody?
Robinette,
Yes?
Urbando,
No.
Dennis,
No.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Okay, so Finance Committee will set a meeting to discuss ordinance 9131.
I suggest, Mr. President, since we have two public hearings on the November 20th agenda, that we set this meeting for 6 PM on, prior to our December 4th meeting.
Okay, is that date available?
It is.
Okay, so that meeting will be at 6 PM on December, did you say 4th?
4th, I believe that's the Monday of our meeting, yes?
All right. Okay,
Ordinance number 9132, ordinance amending and adopting section 121.04A1 and 121.04A2 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding interior and exterior inspections required. Ordinance number 9135 for second reading. Ordinance amending and adopting section 3901 and 3902 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green concerning unlawful discrimination. Legislation for third reading. Resolution number 3855 for third reading. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt Resolution 3855.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President?
Yep.
I would just note that Clerk Jody provided us with the attachment to this resolution this evening before our meeting began.
Okay, any other discussion? Jody?
Urbando?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 3855 is adopted.
Resolution number 3856 for third reading. Resolution adopting and authorizing an amended Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Housing Policy and Procedures Manual.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I move that we adopt Resolution 3856.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rabando.
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 3856 is adopted.
Ordinance number 9126 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to sign an LPA agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation, ODOT, and to seek qualifications, advertise for bids, and enter into contracts for design, engineering, right-of-way acquisition, construction, and other services related to the construction of a pedestrian hybrid beacon at the intersection of West Wooster Street and Maple Street.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette,
I move to adopt ordinance 9126.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rabando,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 9126 adopted.
Ordinance number 9127 for third reading. Ordinance accepting annexation of approximately 1.52 acres of land in Center Township, Wood County, Ohio, from Vicky L. Frobos, petitioner.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to adopt ordinance 9127.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Isn't this, don't we have to table this to a public hearing?
That's 9128.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Never
okay.
mind. Jody, go ahead.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette.
Yes.
Rabando,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Okay, so ordinance 9127 is adopted.
Ordinance number 9128 for third reading. Ordinance establishing interim zoning of IE innovation and employment zoning for the approximately 1.52 acres of land located on South Dunbridge Road and recently annexed to the city as petitioned for by Vicky L. Frobos, petitioner.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to table ordinance 9128 to November 6th. That's the date of our public hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rabando,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
Yes. Ordinance 9128 is tabled until November 6th. Is there any other business to come before council this evening?
President,
Mr. Harold?
I move that we excuse Joel from tonight's meeting.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President,
Yep, go ahead.
just one more announcement. The holiday parade is coming up in about a month, which is difficult to believe. The Chamber of Commerce, once again this year, will be raffling off parklet locations, and a release is going to be coming out about that later this week. We've got a lot of great businesses, local businesses, in addition to the university, who have donated a lot of great prizes that are going to be put into one or more of several raffle baskets. And the winners of those drawings will also have a spot reserved this year with a heater, which would have come in handy last year. Hopefully won't be necessary this year, but it'll be there if you need it. So again, release is gonna go out on the 20th about that, and the raffle tickets are gonna be going on sale on the 24th, with the drawing to be held on November 14th.
Okay, any other business for the good of the order?
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Aye.